So not only did it erase our identities, that erased everything. It streamlined, erasing everything. The history, the culture, the traditions, our practices, our spiritual practices, our beliefs, our languages. Yeah? And keep in mind, it's still around. We just don't acknowledge that it's ours. Look how much gripe that we got for acknowledging that hip hop was ours. Everybody else that wanted to fit in made sure they inserted themselves in, right? Knowing that's indigenous to this landmass here. All of the dances that we do, like shout out to DC, we call it beat our feet, beat your feet. Ooh, I was about to curse. When we listening to go-go, you understand what I'm saying, Slim? And we beating our feet, that's an indigenous dance. We already doing it. Shout out to Memphis. I think they call it bucking. I could be, everybody got their own name of it, of their dance. You understand what I'm saying? And that's from Cali to DC. You understand what I'm saying? That's everywhere. That's everywhere. Yeah, juking. That's juking. My fault. My fault, Memphis. That's called juking. That's right. But I'm just saying, we've been doing this. And notice how we not acknowledging that that's us culturally. And when we do, we giving it to some Africans. For example, when we beating on drums, because I can't name a brother out there that don't got no 12s or above in the back of their trunk right now, because we love the beat of the drum. Each of my cars got a system in it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care what the lyrics saying. I want the I don't care. I don't care what it say. I want to hear that bass line. We vibrate with that bass line. That's a spiritual thing. So when you see them so-called Native Americans beating on the drum and they just slapping it one time, you know we was getting busy on that drum. You understand what I'm saying? I played the congos and the bongos and the drum set professionally. My mother in the chat, she could attest to that. And shout out to my sister, because we was always in the drums. Shout out to Abasi, our drum instructor. I was on the timbales and all that. That go-go music ain't African, that's indigenous to this landmass. I'm gonna put out a video on that too. I'm gonna straighten some of y'all out. Get ready for that. You see my mother confirming? This ain't no joke. I don't got no reason to lie. This is us, and we've been giving it to other people. This whole time, they want us to wear their clothing and call that the Mela Gallery. As an example, right? Oh, show off some other people's work. But notice how they always using our people to do it. We look the best in it. Anything that we do, anything that we touch is fire. You understand what I'm saying? Anything. We are the trendsetters. We are the chosen people. They know that. But you don't. That's the problem. And then you want to complain about Trump getting rid of our history when our history not even in there. They're not telling you who created the teleprompter. They're not telling you who created the traffic light. They're not telling you who created the cell phone. They're not telling you who created the internet. They're not telling you who created the microwave. They're not telling you who created the vehicle. They're not telling you who created cable, Wi-Fi. Listen, where you think they got it from? But they hurried up in 1791 and created the patent office. So whatever you do that you invent, they're gonna hurry up and patent it and say that it's theirs. They've been doing fraud shit since 1790. They ain't teaching you that in school, huh? No, they not. The only way you gonna know that is if your teacher, your professor tells you that verbally. Put that book to the side and say, listen, class, I gotta tell y'all something about our people. Now, hold on. Listen to me. I need to tell y'all something. These books ain't telling y'all the real deal. I'm here to tell you the real deal. Shout out to those teachers and those professors that be keeping it real. We always got a batch of them, but it'd be a small batch, unfortunately, that has to change. Each and every one of us gotta speak up. You talking about an activist. What activity are you doing that's changing something, that's working in our favor? For example, this civil rights activist gonna be mad that I'm getting ready to play because the so-called Black history being erased. Here we go.
Reva, with a cultural emergency check-in. Right now, there's a troubling movement taking foot, one that is targeting our beloved and precious spaces. See, the word is Donald Trump and his allies are going after African-American museums, including the one at the Smithsonian. And see, all of this is about payback.
What makes you think that, no, and that's a lie, but what makes you think that the Smithsonian got our back? See, y'all gonna be claiming that y'all so educated about your history, but you don't even know Smithsonian's history here. They own 21 museums and 16 research facilities. And they keeping your records on hold. And they keeping your records on hold. They know who you are. They just don't want to tell you because of who Smithsonian is ran by. So the Trump administration came at the Smithsonian and all its museums because they've been lying. But you don't know that, right?
For the removal of Confederate statues. Yes, payback. Let that sink in.
That's cap.
They're coming for our history, our truth, and our legacy. And we all know.
And then it be our own people that don't know that we were heavily involved in the Confederate Army. It was nothing but our people in the Confederate Army. Nothing but fought and died for that flag here. And our people are linking it to the KKK. And that wasn't even their flag. I put that out there. That's a whole documentary on my channel already. That wasn't even their flag. Their flag was the USA flag. The so-called Star-Spangled Banner. It wasn't the Confederate flag. Multiple indigenous tribes had that Confederate flag. Before that new Confederacy was created, it was a previous Confederacy already existing. And their names were on the flag. Shout out to the Chickamauga. And their names were on the flag. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That was your people this entire time. But they gave it to some white folk. The KKK was nothing but a group of foreigners that was fighting for nationalism amongst their own people. That's where it started as, before it expanded into what it eventually became after it was infiltrated. I'm gonna put out a full segment on them. But our people don't know about this stuff. Why? It's not inside the school curriculum. So they're regurgitating what they're familiar with and what they're comfortable with teaching or stating, falling into a deeper hole without a way to climb up out of it. See, this is where we come in at. Because I'm not about to try to leave my brothers and sisters behind because they don't know. But if they choose to turn the other cheek, we don't need you. But let me pick up my brothers and sisters that want to do the right thing, that want to know the right thing, that wants to get revenge for what they did to our ancestors, that wants to see greatness through when it comes to our people, breaking the curse that their God allegedly placed on our people by way of their scriptures that they wrote in order to colonize the land. We were not cursed by God. We didn't do anything wrong. They did. And they made you believe that you did something wrong because you subscribe to their ideology. God didn't write Deuteronomy. You are not cursed. The reason why you're still enslaved now is because the chains are on your brains. Break them. It's that simple. The only key that can break those chains on your brain is you taking back control of how you think. My slogan, I'm just here to make you think. My full slogan is I'm just here to make you think for yourselves again. Trump's slogan, make America great again, right? I'm not a Trumper. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent thinker. When I see fraud, I'm going to call it out. When I see great things, I'm going to showcase it. The reason why both sides reached out to me and my team is because they see I'm doing something right. And they want that to be a part of what they have going on. I have a lot of OGs within my circle that got my back, my front and my sides, that said, Dane, that's the right move. If they willing to put your stuff inside of their curriculums, do it. I got the blessing from my ancestors. I said, all right, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. And it's shaking it up. And meanwhile, it be your own people. Y'all know that saying? It be your own people. It be your own people that don't know. Look at how they causing the confusion and the division. Right then and there. You immediately turning your nose up because you could be a low-key Democrat. One. Two, you think this got something to do with Trump only. This is beyond Trump. This is Trump's second. There is a long history of this foreign government doing our people wrong. And they should be held accountable. And they have not been held accountable. Y'all been fighting for reparations. Uh-oh. Whoa. Are they shutting me off? YouTube shutting me off. YouTube shutting it down. Hold up. Oh, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm in the green everywhere. They trying to shut me off. That's not me hitting it offline. That's not me. That's not me. My internet is top notch. Down and upload speed. That's YouTube doing that. That's not me. That's YouTube doing that. Okay, now YouTube is, see? Look, what? Come on. Like, okay, if I was wrong, why they so worried about me? If I was wrong, why they so worried about me? Why they so scared? Why they gotta send their little handlers to me? What's going on? If I was wrong, they shouldn't be worried about me. I shouldn't be on their radar. They shouldn't be bringing up my name. They shouldn't be constantly talking about me per se without bringing up my work. Dane Calloway shouldn't even be in their vocabulary. If I was wrong, just that alone, just question it. I'm not saying believe me, just question it. If they attacking my channel, 6,200 people watching, why? Why you think they doing that? Just question it.
No, that museums like these aren't just buildings. They are living proof that we built this country. They tell our story, the real story, ones that they've been trying to erase for centuries. Now, if they can take down our museum.
Wait, what? Listen to what she just said.
About payback for the removal of Confederate statues. Yes,
Wrong.
Payback. Let that sink in. See, they're coming for our history, our truth, and our legacy. And we all know that museums like these aren't just buildings. They are living proof that we built this country. They tell our story, the real story.
Stop. They tell our story, the real story. Her name is, hold up. And I will gladly have a debate with her and this other guy I'm getting ready to play. Her name is Arva Martin, Esquire. So she's a lawyer. I dare you to get on my channel and we have a debate about this. I dare you. That will be the topic. I dare you. You a whole sellout. Don't even know what you're talking about. You just assuming. And just in case y'all thinking I'm getting on sisters,
It's been over a month,
doing the same
and we are
thing.
still waiting to hear back from Education Secretary Linda McMahon about whether teaching Black history classes would violate Donald Trump's executive order against so-called radical indoctrination.
Wait, he called it radical indoctrination. That should be alarming to you. You're not just going to say that for no reason. Indoctrination? That's not alarming?
Asked about this during her confirmation hearing back in February, McMahon said, quote,
I'm not quite certain, and I'd like to look into it further and get back to you on that.
yes, please, do get back to us on that. Donald Trump is waging an all-out assault on Black history, trying to muddle our collective memory of the Black freedom struggle as part of his effort to suppress any and all political dissent. In late March,
see, you got to understand, like I said that the so-called Black Power movement was nothing but a CIA psyop. I told you that. I've been proved it multiple times and can do it again with ease. The majority of those people became so-called political figures inside of a government that was controlling them. If they were all about what they say they were about, the NAACP would have had us on top by now. The NAACP came before the Black Power movement. If they were about what they say they was about, we would have been in a better position by now. A lot of those people sold our people out. And some of them were not even from this landmass.
Trump signed an executive order claiming that a revisionist movement has been trying to rewrite U.S. history to portray the country as inherently racist. Late March, Trump signed an executive order
Trump's executive order to seeks to restore American history through Smithsonian overhaul. Restore, not remove, restore. Making it come from our mouths. We tell our story, not some fabricated one that they created.
Claiming that a revisionist movement has been trying to rewrite U.S. history to portray the country as inherently racist, sexist, oppressive, and otherwise irredeemably flawed.
It was that. They did do that. And they did that by way of the newspapers. When I exposed the newspapers, and the Niji newspapers out there always had a different narrative from the other newspapers out there that were being politically utilized in order to showcase that was going on at that time. And then pictures came and it made it even worse because they gave a description of what the picture was about and made the people use their imagination into thinking that racism was on a larger scale than what it was at that time. I remember multiple segments of mine that I put out. I explained why the majority of our people did not experience what you would think they did when it came to racism, especially at that time. Not to say that Jim Crow didn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that not everybody went through the exact same thing. It depends on where you were located. Those people of their political agenda pulled people from those states that were experiencing racism in order to get that narrative across, to make it seem like that was happening nationwide, and it wasn't. It just was not. They even came out and told you, I showed you videos of them talking about that era back then, them admitting that that's not what they were going through. That's still on my channel, coming out of their own mouth. In fact, if you want to learn more about that, the name of one of the videos that I'm referring to is called The Breach of the Civil Rights Movement. The Breach of the Civil Rights Movement. Go check that one. You're going to see what I'm talking about.
To present his glorious and triumphant version of U.S. history, Trump announced that the U.S. government would be doing some revision of its own with the takeover of the Smithsonian Museum, while federal agencies carry out a general gutting of Black history acknowledgments.
We never benefited from Black History Month at all. The only people that benefited from Black History Month were those that were large corporations. Target, Walmart, YouTube, and everybody else that was a large corporation that sought to gain like some type of monetary gain from it. There was a monetary notion attached to that. And our people fell for that. You thought you was getting stuff for sale, and meanwhile it was the same price. But they used it against our people. And what was our people doing? Buying. We weren't selling. We didn't benefit from that. I'm talking about throughout the whole month. Not even a day, throughout the whole month. They were doing that. That's what it turned into. They made it a holiday for a whole month because they knew that they could maximize their sales by making it seem as if they were all for Black History Month. They were just for the profit. And they fattened their pockets up every single year. Notice how this year, since Trump did that executive order, not one large company did anything for Black History Month. Not one. Because they were taking advantage of our people. And Trump was exposing that. Well, his administration was. I said that numerous times, so have other people. Now you're seeing it from a political perspective because of that's a part of their agenda within his administration. They're exposing that it was people taking advantage of you. Not only by way of the Black History Month sales, but also the Black History Month stories, the lies. DEI on top of that.
Events and websites. We already saw a glimpse of this when the National Park Service drastically edited its webpage on the Underground Railroad, erasing the militancy of its most famous conductor, Harriet Tubman.
Stop. Even though they retracted this, I rubbed it in their faces. It's like, Dane, you not working with the Trump administration? I said, oh yeah? Say less. I'm the only one that told you Harriet Tubman wasn't real. And I told you about the Underground Railroad, put all this stuff out. I said, you think that ain't me? Say no more. And they got mad. Woo! They got mad. The National Park Service, now we going through a battle right now. I'm not going to go in too much detail. We're going through a little battle with them right now to get that removed, by the way. But they took that down. Now listen, since they did take that down, eventually they retracted it because they were up under the pressure, so much pressure from the Democrats, who just so happen to be so-called Black, by the way, and be your own people, okay? If she was real, the National Park Service wouldn't have got rid of it. From the get-go. Fire. So I just dangled it in your faces that, yeah, we in there. We in there. Don't worry about it, because she ain't the big problem. It's a major problem bigger than this character, this fictional character. They're using other people's pictures telling you that that's Harriet Tubman. Yeah, then anybody gonna attach themselves to a hero. I always say I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I always say that I'm Batman. And you gonna always say that you was related to Harriet Tubman. And never prove it. It's the same thing. I ain't gonna go too far into it, but yeah, I just dangled it in your faces. That's all. Everybody was like, yeah, why would he say that? Why would he say that she's not real? Because I proved it. Her and Nat Turner. I was mad that they did that. You think I was doing that on purpose? I wasn't going in looking for, documentation exposing the fact that Nat Turner wasn't real. That wasn't my agenda. I came in there looking for documentation on Nat Turner, traveled there so I could get the real deal. On numerous occasions, by the way. And once I found out I think that was a total of 5 years with Nat, and it was 4.5 with Harriet Tubman. Once my wife and I got them records, it was over. Both of them, act of Congress. Sarah Bradford for Geneva created that story from Geneva. When I exposed that years ago, do you know they had to put some websites out there and talk about some she from Geneva in New Jersey or something? I was like, no, it's too late. Because she already wrote it down that she was from Geneva, Switzerland. We got the documentation. You can't change that now. And we put it in the book. You can't change it now. And Thomas Rutherford Gray with Nat Turner. And I showed you how he got that from the Richmond Whig newspaper. And Turner wasn't even his last name. And Thomas Rutherford Gray came out by an act of Congress when he was trying to copyright that story so he could sell it as a book because he was a gambler and lost all his money and wanted to make his money back. He said that Turner was an alias that he created. That's not Dane Calloway making that up. That's their own record. Yeah, so I dangled this part in front of your face just to let you know that we there. We here. We ain't finished. We just getting started.
The most basic definition of the Underground Railroad as resistance to enslavement through escape and flight was out. Instead, we got a new sentence that read, to obtain autonomy, freedom seekers needed to strategize about which opportunity worked best for their situation.
Let this sink in. To obtain autonomy for their lives, for themselves and their loved ones, freedom seekers needed to strategize about which opportunity worked best for their situation. You mad at that? Keep in mind, if you disagree with that, you belittling your own people into believing that they didn't have a choice. Y'all got on Kanye West for claiming that slavery was a choice. Y'all got on him about that. What makes you think that any of this wasn't a choice? You have a choice to sell your people out. You have a choice whether to go to college or university. You have a choice whether to pay your bills. You have a choice whether to settle down with that woman and get her pregnant before you marry her. You have a choice as to what religion you want to choose. Don't get me started. I told you, and I exposed it numerous times, that the Underground Railroad was the pneumatic transit. That was their way of travel. And it's still there, historically, still there. Tracks that they aligned with the original tracks that were already there prior to these Asians that they want to give the credit to, and the Europeans. Those train tracks was there for years, all around America. And we traveled through the mounds and mountains by way of the same transportation system. It wasn't about hiding up under some basement of a house. It was about going underground. Underground tunnel. See, they don't want you to know that was an underground tunnel. Why? Because they using them now. Remember that video where I exposed the underground tunnel that was still being utilized today right up under LA? And that was just one location. And I'm talking about the ones where I was talking about the wildfires. And I was saying how those high-ranking officers and all those actors and actresses and political figures were hiding up under those underground tunnels. Well known, by the way, it's still happening. And they were doing stuff with children. Look, the people that allegedly come over here illegally, are they hopping the fence or are they coming underground? Coming from underground. Look, the people that allegedly come to America illegally, are they hopping a fence or are they coming from underground? Give us the link. Levante, can you link that video for me, please? Wait a minute. Let me go to my channel so I can know the name of that, because I did a couple of videos on LA. Let me give it to you. It is the one where it says, ooh, it could be either one of these. I think it's the one that says they were laser focused on this movie, or the one that says they got caught burning the evidence in 4K. It's either one of those. It's one of those. It was 3 months ago. I can tell you that. It's on the channel. It was 3 months ago. I appreciate that, Levante. Okay. All right, so let me hold on, wait a minute.
I mean, we're talking about real freedom fighters, but this language makes it sound like they were sprucing up their LinkedIn page or something. When media reports were published calling this out, the pages were quickly restored with their original language. Next in the crosshairs is the popular National Museum of African American History and Culture, a Smithsonian institution that not only has materials detailing the horrors of slavery, but also educates on radical figures and events like the Haitian Revolution, the Black Power Movement, Malcolm X, and Paul Robeson. Will they survive Trump's attempt to whitewash?
They will survive. We're not going, that's not, no, stop that, stop that. We're not going to be getting rid of the stories of freedom fighters, those that stood up like Malcolm. We're not doing that. That's not what it's about. It's correcting the narrative. That's all. Of course, we're not going to get rid of Malcolm. Are you serious? We're not getting rid of Malcolm X. You out your mind?
American history? But look, you can scrub a webpage, but you can't scrub the memories of a people who know their past, who know how the rights of
That's cap. You don't know your past. That's the whole point. You still calling yourself black. If you knew your past, you wouldn't call yourself black right now. Just 1950, 1960, the black term was derogatory. You don't know your past if you're referring to yourself as a derogatory term. Meanwhile, we still calling each other the N-word all day long. And that was always a derogatory term. African American is a misnomer. Your people weren't born in Africa. Tell me something, you know your history. Don't give me that.
People were hard won through massive and brave social movements that faced down the government and its unjust laws. You can shut down a museum, but you can't shut down the people's determination to tell the truth.
Exactly. I agree with that part. Exactly. And we're going to tell the truth regardless of what you want to believe, because it's not based on what you believe. It's about what you know, based upon what you can actually prove.